Story. With less than 2 months to go for the U.S. presidential polls, the racism versus law enforcement debate has split U.S. political discourse right down the middle. After months of Black Lives Matter protests across the country, most of which has been decried as lawless and arson by President Trump, now larger rallies are being carried out across several cities in support of the U.S. president. Now, hundreds of Trump supporters gathered in a small town south of Portland, which has been witnessing relentless protests for months and has also seen violent clashes between Black Lives Matter protesters and far-right groups. Oregon's largest city has seen over 100 days of protest, including one standoff last month in which a far-right activist was shot dead, and the man suspected in the killing was later fatally shot as police moved in to arrest him. Earlier on Monday, Black Lives Matter activists clashed with Trump supporters at the pro-Trump rally in Salem, with police making several arrests. The pro-Trump vehicle rally saw groups of armed men in paramilitary gear among the crowd that included families and older people. And the parade was decked out with U.S. flags, Trump banners and signs that read "Keep America First." Scores of Trump supporters had gathered outside the state capitol building in Oregon to show their support for the U.S. president as he bids for a second term in the White House. Ironically, the pro-Trump rally, which called for upholding American values, had participants who slammed Portland protests, calling the site resembling a third world country.
When you look at the destruction that's happening, downtown Portland looks like a third world country with all of the graffiti and the burning and the looting and all of that. And that's happening in cities all across the United States.
The all-white rally was ringing endorsement of President Donald Trump's stance on the protests that the city was under siege by thugs engaged in domestic terrorism. The pictures from Oregon indicate that the traditional Trump support base remains solidly behind the president. But would that be good enough for him to return to the White House in January? Now, several polls indicate that the Democratic candidate Joe Biden's lead over Trump has remained steady over the past few weeks. And despite the growing polarization among the electorate, Trump would need a significant swing to repeat his 2016 performance. Now that the U.S. presidential nominating conventions have ended, the next key date on the